So my starter's still floating just fine. People often judge their starter's life force by whether it floats on water. And it's sort of loosely correlated to the life force of your starter, in the sense that more active starter is more bubbly, has air, and will likely then float on water. Less active starter is less bubbly, has less air, and will sink. So people say that if your starter floats, it's good to use. I say that that's a little bit too simple to rely on, mainly because your starter will float hours before it's actually perfectly mature, where there's like a maximal amount of cell population that's accumulated in the sourdough starter itself. So it shouldn't be the only way in which you judge the readiness of your starter. Every day that I interact with my starter, I'm smelling it. I'm not opposed to tasting it, even in its raw state. It's not particularly tasty, but it's not for my eating pleasure so much as it is for me to understand how acidic it is, the different characteristics, and to learn each day. So I'll put it in, I'll feed it at a certain temperature and at a certain rate the night before, let it mature, and by touching it, by observing it, by smelling it, by tasting it, each day I'm sort of able to tweak the variables and understand, oh, well, maybe I fed it 30 minutes too early, maybe I fed it 2 degrees too hot, maybe I fed it 2 degrees too cold. And so the next time I do it, I'm able to adjust based on what I've learned and based on what I'm going for. And there's not necessarily a very strict definition of what to go for, because every sourdough starter is going to be slightly less or more active. It's going to react slightly differently. The key to working with sourdough in particular is to start to get to know and understand your own starter and where it's at, understand and learn from it. So if I say, hey, I bulk ferment my dough 4 hours, that doesn't mean that you should go and never let your dough go 5 hours or 6 hours or 3 hours or whatever. You've really got to learn for yourself. You've got to bake all the way through, take your bread that comes out of the oven and say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, what caused what I didn't like, how can I change?